So it is my distinguished pleasure to introduce Dr. Darwin Conwell. Again, as I mentioned, he is the division director here for our Division of Gastroenterology, Hepatology, and Nutrition at The Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center, an extremely accomplished physician scientist, NIH funded, and a consummate leader. I honestly can't think of anyone right now who could present this lecture any better than our very own Dr. Darwin Conwell.
Well, thank you all very much, and thank you, Daryl, and thank you, Stephanie. I was talking to Stephanie last night and just told her how proud I was of her and how she's just represented us all so well here at Ohio State, and just when we started to see her move on and but go into practice, and she'll really make us all very, very proud. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about leadership, and I think this is a goal that we strive for, right? None of us are perfect leaders. None of us are the complete 360-degree leader, but we keep working at this because our patients depend on us, our nurses, nursing staff, our fellows and residents all depend on us. No matter where you are, whether you're in private practice, you're in academia, you are a leader. Everyone in that endoscopy unit, they're dependent on you to make the right decisions. On the nursing ward, they're dependent on you to make the right decision. Even in your home, your children are dependent on you. Your spouses are dependent on you to make the right decisions. So we all need to learn how to lead. And this is something I spend a lot of time trying to be better at doing. So I'm going to give you a concept called the 360-degree leader that allows you to think about how you lead down, across, and up, and also how you lead yourself. So we'll have some fun with this, and there'll be some great comments and quotes from people that will inspire you, that I refer back to keep me going sometimes when the days get a little more challenging. So probably the person I admire the most right now in terms of leadership is Colin Powell. So Colin Powell said the following: leadership is solving problems. The day soldiers stop bringing you their problems is the day you have stopped leading them. They have either lost confidence that you can help or concluded you do not care. Either case is a failure of leadership. So how can we learn, how can we limit our failures and learn to lead from anywhere in our organization, anywhere you are? So let's take this and walk through 360-degree leadership. So we'll talk about leading yourself, leading up, leading across, and leading down. Now, a lot of this comes from John Maxwell, who is a leadership guru, writes a lot of papers on leadership, and I would encourage you to, this book is one of my favorites that he has written. So let's talk about leading yourself. This is really going beyond your reputation. This is about beyond what others have said about you. This is about discipline. It's about responsibility. Discipline yourself so someone else does not have to. And that's an axiom. You'll hear that. And that's something I deal with on a daily basis. Sometimes you have to discipline physicians. We don't want to be disciplined that way. You want to self-discipline. You want to self-govern yourself. So true leadership starts right here. So self-discipline, control of oneself, honesty, integrity, self-awareness, and respect of others. So it's important for you to know, what are your buttons? What pushes and causes you, your blood pressure starts to go up or you start feeling yourself. What are you going to do to bring that back down? So self-govern, learn how to regulate yourself. That may be walking outside the exam room, going down the hallway, counting to 10, going to the bathroom, whatever it requires for you to get back into that zone where you are functioning your best. So learn to lead yourself. So Daniel Goleman, who is a leadership guru, said the following: leaders who can stay optimistic and upbeat, even under intense pressure, radiate the positive feelings that create resonance. By staying in control of their feelings and impulses, they craft an environment of trust, comfort, and fairness. And that self-management has a trickle-down effect from the leader. So it's very important that we just learn how to manage ourselves before we go out and try to manage other people. Second phase, leading up. People above you, no matter where you are in organization, where you are in life, there's always going to be someone who appears to be above you in any type of, strata, right? So this is really about respecting that person. This is really about striving for excellence. How do we add value to our supervisors? And this is about respect, humility, having a great attitude. There is some submission with this. Have solutions and not just complaints and problems. And one of the axioms I use, I talk about this in our faculty meetings, we have problems. We have all kinds of things that come up. But when you come up with that problem and you're in the discussion about that problem, don't put more gasoline on that fire. We already know there's a fire, right? I need someone to help put some water on the fire. Come with some solutions. You may not have them all, but at least come with an attitude of respect, an attitude that we're going to try to make this better. So that's very, very important. So try to add value to people that are above you. They'll greatly appreciate that. They're undergoing, there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of work, a lot of things that they're doing. And when you come in, you're one of thousands that come in their offices, or just think about that. Add value to them, and they're going to help you along the way, because they can actually put you in positions of success in the future, and also give you more leadership responsibility throughout your organization or in your practice. So good leaders must become very good servants. So there are two ways of, I love this, of spreading light: to be the candle or the mirror that reflects it. And I really like this picture. I like that quote. So think a lot about that for yourself. Or do you want to be the candle, or do you want to be the mirror that reflects it? The other phase is leading across. This is about your peers, people who you work with shoulder to shoulder, arm to arm with every day. So it's a paradox. Leading the life you want requires striving to help others. Initiative to serve outside of your own benefits. All right, this is more of this is not about I, okay? This is about the others. It's not about me, all right? It's about the we. Now that takes work. That's a daily thing that you have to work on. I work on this daily at home with my wife, when I'm driving my car on the highway. Maybe I want to get in front, or I want to get, well, you know what? It's not necessarily about me. It's about others, and make sure I don't wreck my car, all right? I make sure I respect, my spouse, and make sure I'm not doing something for her, not just for my benefit. So these are things that we need to think about. When you're at work, working with your peers, and they come into your room, the nurse may knock on the door and say, hey, Dr. Naeem, Dr. So-and-so next door wants you to take a look at something. You're holding a scope in your hand. You're like, what in the world they want me for? Well, they're unsure. They're uncomfortable. They want to know, what do you think? Is that a polyp I can take out or not? We all do this every day. That's your peers. That's respecting your peers, taking the time to help them and work with them. So it's about others, not just about you. They're coming to you for a reason, because they think you know the answer, all right, and you need to help them, all right? So that's very important, especially when you come out and practice, when you join your academic center for the first year. I remember, I'll tell you a story, and some of my fellows have heard this. My very first day at the Cleveland Clinic, on Wednesday, I was a fellow. On Thursday, I was a faculty. And they gave me 4 colons, our best endoscopy nurse. This is in the days of fiber optic endoscopy, and you guys know nothing about that. Doug Levin does. And these are painful endoscopies. These are long, hard endoscopies, stiff, very, very stiff scopes. And 4 colons, our best endoscopy nurse. And at 2:00 in the afternoon, I was just finishing up. And I was drenching wet with sweat. And I was always calling out, hey, is Dr. Zaccaro or so-and-so down the hallway, because what am I looking at here? And I was just very uncomfortable, because I no longer had, that angel on your shoulder. Because right now, when you're in training, you've got an angel on your shoulder. It's that faculty member. They're right there talking you through it, big knob away, big knob up, turn your shoulder, do this. You'll be surprised how much help that provides for you, even if they don't touch the scope. But when you're in there by yourself with the patient and nurse, it's a different story. So anyway, service, perspective, initiative to serve outside of your own benefits. Just work with our colleagues, and it'll reap major benefits in the future. So what happens when you lead across? So Theodore Roosevelt said the most important single ingredient in the formula of success is knowing how we get along with people. And I go over this. Ed Levine and I talk about this all the time. How is that person playing in the sandbox with others? Are you angry and you take your pail and your shovel and you go home? How are you playing on the basketball court? Do you take your ball and go home and say, this is, the 2-year-old, this is mine, it's mine, it's mine. And, but are you able to interact with others and work with others, shortcomings, your own shortcomings, recognize those. But as a team, you can achieve great things. And this is just a representative photo of the Ohio State Buckeyes football team. Doesn't matter, year after year after year, for them to be successful, every team member has to know their place, their role, and they have to work together as a unit. And football is one of those great sports that shows how everyone has to work together as peers. So what about leading down? So this requires, so what is that about? This is about people that look up to you, that you are accountable for. These are fellows, these are medical students, residents, people that are looking to you to help guide them, to help direct them, to help give them the right sense of direction and where they're going to go. So this is about casting vision, having integrity, having planning, being able to plan and think beyond where you are, and how can you help that person rise up and achieve all their goals and achieve their maximum potential. And you have to think about them, not just in the time that you're meeting with them, but outside of that time. And how can you help them cast a vision? You need to restore order, give hope to your team members. So this is about practice what you preach. Having a solid work ethic because they're looking to you as a model. Be inclusive. Try your best to be accessible. Now, I would say you have to have some safeguards around your accessibility because you do have family and you have other people that you also are accountable for. So you can't be available 24/7. If you're out having dinner with your spouse, there has to be a time you can turn that cell phone off and spend some quality time with them. I think you have to be moral. You have to be a team builder. You have to be orderly. But I think just casting this vision is very important, and restoring order, because sometimes things get out of place, and they're looking to you to help restore that. And so leading down is very important. These are people that you're mentoring on research projects. These are new faculty members, and you're now a third or fourth year faculty member, and they're a first year faculty member, and they're looking to you to help them. So leading down is very, very important. Being able to cast a vision, I think, is really key. The task of the leader is to get his people from where they are, all right, to where they have not been. And I really like that phrase, because when you're talking to residents and medical students who want to become what you're doing, how do you get them there? How do you eliminate? I'll talk about this a lot. How do I eliminate the roadblocks that I had when I was training to allow my faculty to become very successful? And so this is things you need to think about. So I got this, actually, I think I got this from Daryl, or I think I have one of Daryl's slides or talks. But anyway, leadership, appreciation, strategy requires humility, requires commitment. You got to be honest. You got to have purpose and passion and values. This sounds like a perfect person, but you're not. Remember what I said at the beginning, you're striving to accomplish some of these things. You're working at this daily. You never stop learning as a leader because you make mistakes. And I'll tell you, one of the most important things I've learned to say is, I'm sorry. I apologize. I should not have done that. And there's nothing wrong with that. My wife and I have this plaque in our home, and it says something to the effect of, in this house, we say, I'm sorry, thank you, please, forgive me. And it's up for us to see, because, if you have a spouse, you need that, right? You need that in your home. But anyway, you have to be principled. You have to be able to listen. I'm learning more and more about, how do I listen better? All right, I'm really working on trying to listen better, because as a leader, you're quick to problem solve. When someone brings you a question or an issue, a lot of times in my brain, I'm like, okay, do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, but I don't need to verbalize that. I need to let them get their story out. Okay, so we got to be careful with that. So we have to be active listeners. Yes, repeat what they said. Now let me understand this clearly. So these are things you can read about in books, but you have to practice these things. Integrity is very, very important. And I will tell you, trust and honor, these things, they sound like, these cliches and things, but you will never be an effective leader. You will never reach your maximum potential if people can't trust you. If you are dishonest, if your word is not your bond, when you shake someone's hand, it doesn't mean anything. When you give someone your word, it's untrue. You will never, ever lead. never be able to reach your maximum potential. All right? So think about that. So let's wrap this up. So leadership is not magnetic personality that can just as well be just a glib tongue. It's not making friends and influencing people. That's just flattery. Leadership is lifting a person's vision to higher heights, and it's the raising of a person's performance to a higher standard, the building of a personality beyond its normal limitations. That's true leadership. And just to wrap up, how do we limit our failures and learn to lead from anywhere in your organization? Self-discipline, responsibility, excellence, respect, service, having some perspective, casting a vision, and then being a person of integrity. And the most important thing in leadership is trust. And there's a video link here on YouTube to Colin Powell. This is the most important thing about leadership. The people that you lead have to be able to trust you. Simple, simple, simple. Trust. They have to be able to trust you. And if you are an untrustworthy person, you will never be able to lead. So really work on that value of having trust. So to wrap it up, 360-degree leader, lead yourself, lead your peers, lead your boss, lead your subordinates. So self-leadership, lateral leadership, leading up and leading down, being a complete 360-degree leader. We're not going to be perfect at this. We work to continue to improve on a daily basis. I recommend you read this book. Very good book. It's a light read. It's very nice. In one of the articles I shared with our faculty a couple years ago, and I give all the candidates that interview for positions, is how will you measure your life? This puts a lot of things in perspective for you in your careers. So what happens when the team is well led? This is what happens. You win a national championship. And so this is just one example of what can happen when you work together as a team, and it's about the others. It's not about you. It's not about the I. It's about the other people in your organization. So I really want to thank you very much for coming and letting me speak to you. Let's keep working on our leadership. I have stacks of leadership books at home. My wife says, "You got another one?" I said, "Yeah, I got another one. I'm trying to learn this because I made a mistake. I'm trying to figure this out." So have a great day. I'm glad you came here to Ohio State, and we're looking for some great faculty leaders. So those of you who are looking for positions, feel free to send me your CV, and let's see how you can fit at Ohio State. Thank you all very much.
Dr. Conwell, if you can stay there just for a moment, we have about 7 minutes for questions. Sure. And just want to ask the first question. And those in the room, I encourage you, if you have a question, to press the, on the microphone in front of you, press the button. It will light up red, and then you'll be able to ask your question. As someone who has built a career in academic medicine to, climbing the ranks to now professor, division director, you've seen a lot of success in leadership, and you've seen some failures in leadership. And you've experienced some challenges in leadership. What have been your greatest challenges to getting to where you are today? Obviously, understand that there's some fellows who aspire to be in your position. And how have you overcome, or how are you overcoming those challenges?
Well, I think you have to believe in yourself. Irrespective of what anybody says to you, you have to believe in you, period. Now, I got that from my parents. My mom, I talked to my mom this morning driving here. My parents instilled in me that I matter. No matter how good looking I am, no matter how ugly I am, no matter how tall I am, how short I am, I matter. I matter. And I can make a difference on this planet, and I can contribute to this planet. I can contribute to our fellow man. I think that in healthcare, as a physician, this is a sacred trust. People come to you. They don't come to Ohio State for Darwin Conwell. They come to Ohio State because it's Ohio State. It's a state university. They know it's a big medical center. There's someone there that can help me. And then once they get there, they say, "Oh, you're Darwin Conwell." They kind of, "Who am I seeing?" They kind of Google you and all that sort of stuff. But the fact is, you've got to believe in you, and you have to do that in a way of humility. It's not about boasting. It's about believing that I can do this. And you got to know your limitations. My dad told me once, he said, you know what, son? You're going to be a doctor. Okay, that's great. That's great. He said, well, it seems to me that there are going to be some things you're going to know and some things you're not going to know. I said, yeah, well, what are you going to do with the things that you don't know? I said, well, I don't know. Well, go ask somebody who does know. So don't be so ashamed or feel you're inadequate when you don't have an answer. All right, go get the answer. He used to always tell me, and he goes, in the library is full of a lot of books. And so that was before the internet, of course. But I think the biggest challenge you will face is that everyone's not going to believe in your vision, your ability, your dream, because it's your dream, right? Martin Luther King said, I have a dream. You have a dream. I have a dream. It's my dream. It's my vision. It's my dream to build an academic GI division in gastroenterology, hepatology, and nutrition at Ohio State, irrespective of what anybody says on the planet. Doesn't matter. All right? That's my vision. That's my goal. So you have to believe in you, because you're going to be told that you cannot do this. And you're going to be told that this cannot be achieved. You're going to be told you're not the right demographic. You're not the right gender. You're not the right whatever. You're not from the right part of the state. You didn't go to the right school. All right? And I've been told all those things, but it does not matter, because you matter. And I have a dream, and you have a dream and a goal for your life. And so you go after it, because people are going to tell you what you can't do. All right? And those people you need to ignore them. All right, because you're going to go this way. All right, so you have to believe in yourself, I think, is the biggest thing. Believe in yourself. And number two, know your limitations. You're not going to know everything. Know where to go to get some help. I don't know everything about inflammatory bowel disease. If I get in trouble, I'll call Anita Afzali. I may not know everything about colon cancer genetics, and I had a person with all these polyps in their stomach, and I called Pete Stanich. I know where to go for some answers. So believe in yourself. Know your limitations. Every day I am faced with people telling me at the medical center, and it's a great medical center, people telling me what I cannot do. People telling me there's a roadblock. We spent 5 years trying to get transportation in our endoscopy unit. 5 years. And just yesterday, we got it. Took 5 years to get that. 5 years. But we believed we can get it, and we kept knocking on the door. Okay, so believe in yourself and know your limitations.
Thank you, Dr. Kamal. Do you have another question? When I think about leadership, I also think about mentorship. Mm-hmm. And as a trainee, how would you recommend going about identifying someone who can groom you for leadership? Be that mentor.
Right, and that's challenging, because selecting the right mentor will actually help direct your course, actually change maybe what you're thinking about doing with your career. And I think you have to interview faculty. Really interview them. I think you have to spend some time with them, have lunch with them, make an appointment just to talk to them about what they are doing. And it's not just about their research, it's about what they are doing with their life. I had a faculty candidate who was trying to decide whether to come to Ohio State or not. And he was not looking at the job in the sense of the financial part and all that. He was concerned about his family time. Okay, and I didn't realize that, and I was giving him all the numbers and all the data, and he said to me, "Well, Dr. Conwell, the contract's fine. That's great." He goes, "But here's my question: you sent me a text message at 2 a.m. one day, and it didn't wake me up, but I saw it the next day." He said, "But do you sleep? He was saying to himself, how am I going to spend time with my family if at 2 a.m. I'm doing this?" And I said, "Oh, that's not what you're going to be doing." But that's important, right? That he sees that. It also sends me a signal. What am I doing sending a text at 2 a.m., right? And so, but that's important, right? It's important that you interview, that you look, and you need to sit back and just observe the faculty when they're not on stage. Okay, when they're not performing, when they're not doing their thing. You may be sitting in the audience and just kind of watching them from afar or from behind and see if there's a personality match there. Are they doing what you want to eventually do? So, how did you become the director of this? Or how did you become the chief of that? What did you do? Just talk to them, And your personalities have got to match. And if it doesn't match, you got to know early, let's just stop this. This is not fitting for me, and I need to move on. Okay? Yes.
That was an excellent talk. I had a question specifically about leading down
Mm,
as we move through fellowship,
right.
join faculty, and then move up the ranks. Becomes important to lead down and, as you
Yeah.
said, move people from where they are
Hmm.
to where they need to be.
Right.
And when it comes to giving feedback,
Hmm.
there's a spectrum of maybe being so direct that the person may find it to be harsh or maybe belittling in their mind, but then being so gentle that maybe they're not
Hmm.
receiving the message of how
Hmm.
to improve. And how do you strike that
Yeah,
balance?
man, I think the feedback is, the degree of, the not severity, but the how do you say it? Are you more direct? It depends on what the infraction was, shall we say, or what the problem was. If it's a life-threatening issue and something happened, that's got to be direct to the point right away. If it's something that's not as severe, they didn't, they presented and didn't look up a couple articles for their journal club. That can be a conversation you can have, in your office. That's a little less caustic, shall we say. But I think what you have to work on is your emotional intelligence. You have to figure out, these are called the soft skills, right? And you have to learn how to talk to people, and you have to learn how to recognize personalities. So the more you hang around people, the more you understand their personalities and what makes them go and what actually drives them. And some people cannot be driven. Some people you can just drive into the ground and they'll just quit because you've just that's just not the way you should approach them. That same person can be talked to a different way and they'll just soar. All right. And because you can't approach everybody the same way. And so it takes some soft skills to understand personalities. Like Mo, when Mo was a fellow, now I'll tell you a quick story. Mo was direct. He was great at endoscopy. He let you know. So I could talk to him. We could talk, but it's a different when I was talking to Mo, when I was talking to a different fellow. And I'll give you an example. We were in the emergency room trying to take some batteries out of a stomach. I couldn't get them out. I was struggling. And Mo said to me, Dr. Conwell, do you mind if I try? And I said, Mo, go right ahead. Now, in the back of my mind, I said, there's no way he's going to do this, right? I've been doing this for 30 years, right? What is this fellow? In the back of my mind, I said, go right ahead. He got him out. I was like, way to go, Mo. Now, that was a very good interaction. I tell that story all the time. He laughs about it and I laugh about it. And it shows for me maybe he can get him out, and he did do that. But how he approached me doing that was very important. It was in the emergency room, it was in the middle of the night. And so he had some very good soft skills, how he talked to me about that. So I think emotional intelligence, Daniel Goldman writes a lot about that, and these soft skills. I have a thing I call the blink test. A lot of times I can just, when I meet someone pretty quickly, I can get a real good feel for them and how to approach them. I don't know where that comes from. It's one of those innate things. Malcolm Gladwell has a book called Blink. I'd recommend you read that book because a lot of times within the first few seconds, you can tell a lot about a person's personality and how to approach them. But you have to cultivate it, and these skills can be learned. Thank you very much.